Hi everyone, I got brand new micro scenarios for you, so let's look at my preferred low time frame and micro scenarios first and then my alternative ones, including potential trading setups, starting with my preferred scenario on the low time frame, which is the bullish one on the Bitcoin chart, where I'm looking for this to be a wave 3, 4 and then looking for this green wave 5 to the upside. Inside this wave 5, I'm then looking for this to be a 1, 2, 3, which is still unfinished, 4 and 5, because inside this wave 3 we then have the yellow count being a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now this yellow wave 4 might already be in, currently ranging right on top of the 0.236, which is a valid target for a wave 4. And also, once I will show you my micro counts, this low over here might be the low for this wave 4, and a bit more upside can be expected for then a wave 5. An important target for me is going to be the 32.4k area, as in 2022 we had quite a big range and the highs of that range is right here. So there's liquidity resting above this area, and if price is going to reach this level, it's going to be very interesting to see what price is going to do at these highs, about 32.4k. If we then go to my preferred micro scenario over here, we're looking at an ABC, which is a zigzag. So we have two highs over here. We have, of course, this high and this high. Doesn't really matter if this high or this high is the high of this wave 3 for then a wave 4 and 5, because eventually, basically, the target area for the low is the same. Because in this particular scenario, I'm then looking for this to be a wave A, 5-wave structure, then this being a 3-wave in a wave B, expanding flat, so an A, B, C, where the C wave also had the news of this afternoon, and then eventually we have a wave C to the downside, where the most common target for this wave C is right here between the 1 and the 1.236. Now, for me, the potential trading setup is to ladder the longs inside this area, of course educational, based on Elliott Waves guys, we're on YouTube, where the low over here would be the stop loss. And the reason for that is that in this particular scenario, we already wicked below the most common target area for wave C. And also we already took the liquidity of the double bottom, because we made a couple of lows over here and we had the low over here to create a double bottom. And for me, the only reason to wick below and then go above is to take the liquidity of this double bottom and then eventually continue to the upside. Because if price would go to the downside, first of all, we go below the most common target for wave C again, but also there's not much support resting below this wick over here, because for me, the double bottom liquidity was actually the most important type of support or area of interest in this whole area, basically. Yes, I will show you a little bit of support later in one of the scenarios over here, but this for me was the most important, and also nice confluence of the double bottom with this most common target area for a wave C. Now, if I show you the WXY, it's basically the same. So instead of this then being an A, B, C, you could also think, okay, this might be a WXY, where this final structure is a 3-wave instead of a 5-wave. So we then have a W, X, and then eventually a Y to the downside. The target area is only a little bit lower, doesn't really matter. The setup is basically the same to enter the longs in this area, stop loss below the wick, and then eventually looking for more upside. If we then go to my alternative scenarios, then I start with my alternative scenario on the low time frame on the Bitcoin chart over here, where wave 5 is already finished. Looking then for this to be a WXY in a bigger wave A. Then we have another 3-wave structure over here in a wave B, and then looking for an impulsive C to the downside. So that is what you want to see. You want to see a big impulse to the downside in this particular scenario. What is important to realize is that the two 1.618s over here are two rare targets. So this gray one is a rare target for an expanded flat wave B, taken from the high of 5 to the low of A. And the orange 1.618 is a rare target for a zigzag, with this being an A, B, and then a zigzag C. So two rare targets have been reached over here, which also makes it a little bit less likely that this is an ABC expanding flat, and we then would expect an impulsive move to the downside, which also means in this particular scenario that the short setup that I show over here is currently part of my alternative scenarios. Of course, there's no financial advice. I just show you what's possible trading Elliott Waves or potentially trading Elliott Waves and how it works. But one then ladders the shorts inside this area, stop loss above, for then in case price goes to the downside, we have and take the C to the downside. Now the inner count of this wave B, final impulsive move to the upside, is then a 1, 2, 3. This has to be a fourth wave for then a 5 wave. So the upper wick is the fifth wave, and we would now expect an impulsive move to the downside. Looking at this structure, however, at the moment, it doesn't look too impulsive. However, there is a potential impulsive scenario that could be in play, which means that if we go to the micro scenario, the bearish one, that we could have potentially a leading diagonal, which in this scenario is then a 3 wave in 1, 3 waves in 2, looking for then a 3 wave in 3, might already be finished as the most common target for a wave 3 in a leading diagonal has been reached, which is the 786 and the 886. So you wouldn't really like price to go below here once again. So this would then be the low of wave 3, looking then for a wave 4 and then another wave 5 to the downside. This wave, these 5 waves, the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, this would then be a wave 1 followed by a corrective 2, and then you expect a wave 3 to the downside, where the invalidation for this wave 2 is going to be taking the high. So this wave 2 over here is not allowed to go above the 6K level basically. So these are the scenarios that I look for. I hope this video was helpful or valuable to you. I'd like to thank you for watching and subscribing, and I will see you at the next one. Bye bye.